What? Okay. And so I'm going to share my screen so I can where that thing at? Here it is. Here. Mm, Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. How did that get there? Go away. Okay, when we talk about stress management, we talk about the idea that people have different mechanisms or coping skills, right? And um, the coping skills are ways that people deal with stress based upon their personality. And their personality can be structured by, genetic um, genetic components, their environment, things that they've learned in their culture, things that they have learned socially because of social conditioning and so on and so forth, right? And so, and so we know that people have various ways that they deal with stress. And so, in general, there are three different personality types, and these are just very general, very kind of I don't want to say stereotypes, but they're just general ways of categorizing people in terms of their coping um, um, techniques or their coping their methodology of their ways of coping with things based upon their personality. um, Most people are not going to be these are not going to be like set in stone type of thing. They just give you a guide, like sort of like a guideline for how people deal with stress. And how do I go to the next one? Okay. So everybody knows people like this, and everybody has some elements of each one of these personality types in them to some degree. Now, the type A person, they have what you would call a strong sense of time urgency, which means that they are, um, very conscious of time. So they may, if, when you set a time for something to happen, they may be very, you know, um, nervous and uptight about things happening on time. They may be very rigid in those ways. They are often people who are highly competitive. Um, so when you're like in a business environment or corporate environment, you find people that who want to rise up to the top, so to speak. And so they're very competitive. They Oftentimes they may become people who become placed into authority. They often become angry easily when things are perceived to not be going wrong or to not be going correctly. Um, Generally, these people feel guilty when they take out time for themselves. So you'll see these people if you go, you might go on vacation somewhere and you see these people sit on the beach doing work instead of enjoying the beach, They can't, or they don't even go on vacation because of the fact that they, feel like they have to keep working. They have to just keep working. So these are people you might call workaholics. And so, of course, these people are going to have higher rates of cardiovascular disease, higher rates of stroke, higher rates of other types of degenerative diseases because they're going to tend to not take care of their body, not be conscious of their health and their well-being because they're so focused on achievement, achieving their goals, achieving their the things that they, the things that they set for themselves, achieving the daily um, objectives of the business or the company or whatever work it is that they're doing. Okay. So that's the type A person. The type B person, they don't have a chronic sense of time urgency. They can play and they can relax without feeling guilty. They can also be ambitious and be successful. Um, often and in a maladaptive way, um, other laying in a hammock in Jamaica, smoking some spliff and talking about how he's gonna shut down Babylon, while he enjoys his. And so, and so it gives an extreme type of stereotypes. Nobody is all one way or anything like that. Um, so, you all of us contain certain elements of all of these things. So then you have the type C person. The type person is what you would stress hardy individual. Um, they have an adaptive approach to stress. They have lifestyle behaviors that make them immune to the destructive aspects of stress. And we talked destructive aspects last time. And they view stressors as opportunities and chance for personal growth. So instead of becoming depressed or debilitated at the emergence of a problem that has to be solved and may cause a person to feel stress, they view that issue that's confronting as an opportunity or a challenge that needs to be solved, like gamesmanship, like you're playing a game and you have to win this game. Okay. And so they accept the challenge, accept the opportunity to themselves through solving the problem and solving the issue. And so people, they have a lower frequency of illness and absenteeism because when I sort of developed this presentation, developed to talk about um, stress in the workplace, and so people who are, if you have a company or if you are in management, you are concerned about the rates of illness and absenteeism that your employees have. You're also concerned about stress because that's going to affect your the productivity of your years and also affect the over time. And so a lot of this information that I'm presenting is from that perspective. Okay. So the stress hardy personality, that's what we want to strive for. So regardless if it's A or stress B, I mean, if we're type A or type B or whatever type that we are, we're striving to become somebody who is competent in managing stress and working through all the issues that are that we're confronted with as people living in a modern post-industrial technological information society. Okay, AI society now. So the stress hardy person, they are stress hardy because they feel like they are in control of their life circumstance. So those people are people who will do like what you all are doing now, taking a course that's going to improve you, that's going to improve your knowledge, and is going to enhance your ability to not only um, perform on a personal level in your personal life, but also may lead to better opportunities and resources in your professional life, right? So this training that you're doing, this is something that you do to make yourself feel like you are in more control of your life circumstances. They perceive the stress hardy person, they perceive that they have resources that to make choices and influence events around them. So when you are in a state of hopelessness, then you don't feel like you have any control over events. Events control you. You know, circumstances control you. You know, when you are a person who has planned, who has uh, excuse me, systematically and with intention created the life that they want to have, they are in more control. They can influence things that happen to them. They can make choices instead of choices being made for them. They're not under the control of some institution or some societal mechanism like the legal system or the social service system or whatever it is. You know, they are in control of their own life, their own choices. And the stress hardy person also has a sense of commitment to home, to their family, to their work. They have entered into a profession or some type of work they actually enjoy. It's not a work that they're doing because they just have to work and it's the only way they can make, but they really hate what they do every day. They have made a commitment to move themselves in a direction where they can do things that they enjoy, that gives them satisfaction. They have a family life that they gain satisfaction from because they have family from a planful perspective, from an intentional perspective, not just a haphazard one or one where things just happen and then they just react to them. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. Excuse me. Any questions, comments so far? In about a week or so. I'll be glad when I leave. Okay. No question.
You broke up. You said what about a week or so?
I said I'm going to Jamaica in about a
Oh,
week.
okay.
So I said it's cold in here. So I said I'll be glad when I leave, so I can get out of this cold. It's cold in my house. It's kind of drafty in my house. And so when it's wintertime, it gets cold.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so no questions, no comments.
No.
Okay. Um, so other characteristics of the stress hardy person, which is again the ideal person that we're trying to, the attributes of the that we're trying that we are striving to move towards. They have outside interest in activities. So unlike the type A person who is immersed in their sense of obligation to their job or to their family, to their children, without any other, they're very myopic. So they're very focused on just those one or two things. The stress hardy person, they have other interests and activities that they engage in. They give them pleasure, they gives them joy, they gives them some sense of accomplishment in some ways. The stress hardy person has a good social support system. So they have friends, they have professional relationships, personal relationships assigned that are based upon some type of a genuine connection that they have with others. Very importantly, the stress hardy person exercises regularly and they maintain healthy diets. This part is very important because we're talking about mood regulation. Unless we regulate our mood through the practice of yoga, meditation, exercise, we regulate our mood through eating the right foods that are going to nourish our nervous system, give us enough B vitamins, and make us to make us have a sense of calmness, and so on and so forth. Without things, there's going to be a greater challenge to creating lead to a person become a stress hardy individual. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We have to self-regulate through our yoga practice, our meditation, lowering our blood pressure, relieving our stress, okay, eating properly so we have nervous system. Okay, all of these things is important. So the stress hardy person has found ways to exercise, to include healthy eating into their lifestyle. Okay. The stress hardy person resorts to adaptive behavior in response to stress. So, what does that mean? The stress hardy person, they are going to experience stress just like everybody else does. There are going to be situations that occur that are going to be challenging. But in response to those situations, are they going to go and eat a whole lot of pizza? Are they going to go and sit on the couch and eat Edie's ice cream or Haagen-Dazs or something, or chocolate cake or whatever it is that people may resort to as what they call um what's the kind of food? What's the term I'm looking for? Pleasure,
Comfort food.
comfort food. Yeah, comfort food, right? So the adaptive response to stress would be, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go get my yoga mat and I'm going to do me some yoga movements or postures, or I'm going to sit in quiet, light a candle, and I'm going to do my meditation, stuff like that. Those are adaptive behaviors in response to stress. Also, an adaptive behavior in response to stress is calmly finding a solution to the issue that may be causing you to experience the stress. And so, again, that goes along with having resources, that goes along with you having the ability to solve problems as they occur because of the fact that you have positioned yourself in life by, by creating the structures around you that support the things that you want to do and the things that you view as essential. Okay. So, of course, the type A, the stress hardy person, the type C person, they have lower rates of disease and illness than both the type A and the type B. They have um, more resistance to ailments. They have less absenteeism from their jobs because of the fact that they have better health. And they have better health because their response to stress is to build themselves up rather than to break themselves down. So when human beings respond to stress by smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, taking other types of drugs and alcohol, eating inordinate amounts of food or improper types of food, they are going to get um, more health challenges and negative health outcomes by engaging in those behaviors. When you don't engage in those behaviors and you do the right things that you need to do for yourself, then you're going to have more positive outcomes. So, so if you're working with somebody, if you're working with a company or social service agency, or any type or a group of teachers or social workers, whatever the people are, therapists, then you want to um, you want to instill in management an understanding of these issues, an understanding of the need to incorporate wellness for your employees into their systems, right? So, for example, if you are a stress management consultant, so if you're a yoga teacher, you can also market yourself as a stress management consultant. So that's what I did. So when I was back in the 80s or something, when I was teaching yoga, I was going to all the different health clubs and going here and there, and I was teaching yoga classes. And then one day I found this brochure that had the word stress management written on it. And so I looked at it, I said, well, what is stress management? And basically all it was teaching people how to relax, how to breathe, relax, do meditation and concentrate and stuff like that. Then I said, well, how much do these stress management consultants make? I say, oh, they make $250 an hour. I'm making like, back in the 80s, I'm making like $5.50 or whatever, being a yoga instructor at Bally's Health Clubs. So I said, I'm going to become a stress management consultant. And because my understanding of stress was like what we're talking about now, it wasn't about just teaching people how to relax, but it's understanding the whole complexity of creating health, maintaining health, and how your lifestyle impacts your stress. Okay, and so and so I took a holistic. So I use the term holistic approach to stress management. And so I tried to separate myself from these other people that were just talking about, I'm going to come in and teach your employees how to relax, to I'm going to teach your employees about the totality of stress. And I'm going to also, and stress and wellness. And I'm going to also work with the employer to remove behaviors from the organization that actually promote stress, causes in it in a unconsciously causes more stress amongst the employees or exacerbates the effect of stress, and to replace those behaviors from the organizational perspective with behaviors that promote wellness, you know, that promote the relief of stress without limiting productivity. Behaviors from the management that reduce employee absenteeism because of illness, which in turn is going to increase the productivity. So one of the statistics that I use is that for every dollar that an employer invests into employee health and wellness, the employer it receives $4 in increased productivity. So it's an investment. Every business is trying to make a profit. Okay. So the profit is going to come more because you have less employee illness, you have less, let's put it like this, you have less employee morbidity, which is illness, and you have less employee mortality, which is death, right? Because if you train a person, this person been working for you 5, 16 years, then the person die of a heart attack or the person is debilitated because they had a stroke, then that's a lot of investment into that person that has gone away. So therefore, investing in employee health is a profit making method because of less morbidity and less mortality, And so you have to sort of put it in those type of stark terms because of the fact that the bottom line of any corporation is how we are going to survive, how we're going to make a profit. That's what they're there for, to make profit. And so the better that you treat the employees in terms of giving them resources that keep them healthy, that allow them to be able to manage stress, and so on and so forth. You don't want type A people working for you because type A people are unproductive because they often overwork themselves. They try to do too much, and that causes them to be ineffective at many of the tasks and jobs that they're taking on. People also people also take advantage of the type A person, okay? Because it's like some of us, like I'm a middle child, right? So I'm like, being a middle child, everybody, you all should know family dynamics and stuff about the oldest child, the middle child, the youngest child, and all that kind of stuff. And the personalities that these family members, the members of these SIB groups take on because of their rank, because of their birth rank, right? They all have a different personality. And so many of your type A people are people who were the oldest child because they had to take on the responsibility of caring for the younger children, right? And so the younger children, especially like maybe the youngest one, was always, you know, dependent upon the older one to take care of them. And so they would even manipulate the older one. So the older person, let's say let's say the type A person or the person who comes from a family who is the oldest child in the family, when another employee doesn't want to do their work, they say, oh, well, Dorothy will do the work for me. All I got to do is ask her. She always takes on the responsibility because that was their role in the family, to take on the responsibility and to pick up the slack. So that person from that SIB group within a work environment is going to take on that same role as they took on in the family. And that youngest person who's in the family, that younger person um, is so used to having other people do things for them that younger person um, um, seeks out ways to take advantage of people or to have somebody else do the work for them. Now, I'm not saying this is absolute, but I'm just saying that we can see these things occurring when we start to look at actual situations. Okay? That makes sense? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so um oh, that's it. Is that the end? Okay. All right. So at any rate, um excuse me, any question about that, about the personality types or stress, anything like that? In your training material, you do have a resource. I think there's a folder that says additional resources or stress management resources, and there's some PowerPoint presentations that deal with stress in the workplace, you know. And so you can use those. Those are PowerPoints I used to use when I would do consulting with different companies or different social service agencies, when I would work with the agencies and work with their employees and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that and you can't find it, let me know and I'll help you find it. Okay? So now I want to move on to talking about nutrition. But before I move on, are any questions?
No.
Um, I don't see my. Oh, okay, that's not right. Where's my one on nutrition? Okay, can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to get this right. So, sorry, excuse me. There it is. Zoom, share, nutrition, share. Okay, there it is. Okay. Um, just to be sure, we didn't go through this already, right?
No, not the nutrition.
Okay. Okay, just making sure because I be doing this stuff and then sometimes I forget what I did. Okay, so when we talk about nutrition, when I talk about nutrition anyway, I talk about it from the perspective of I've tried to put it into a historical perspective so that we can understand where we are at this point in time in history, and how did things become the way that they are? Okay, so when we look at food, um, it says in the Bible that that bread is a staff of life or something like that, right? And basically, that's what that's saying is that bread, which is made from grain, is the foundation of a healthy diet. So, um, where did we get this thing called civilization from? We got civilization because we developed agriculture. Prior to the development of agriculture, people were hunters and gatherers. So people moved from one part of the land to another part of the land, seeking out um, the foods and other sources of nutrition that was available on that land, food that would grow wild or that existed in a wild state. And when they exhausted the food resources of that particular area, they would move on to another area. And so that's where they got the term hunters and gatherers, because they would hunt for small game and they would pick um, fruits, nuts, seeds, the wild grains like rice and wheat and barley and corn. Those things used to grow wild. They were like types of grasses that you can find and you would pick them and stuff like that. So when people developed agriculture, which was people in Africa, when they developed the ability to have fertile land and then um, cultivate the land, farm it, understand how to get seeds and put seeds in and systematically grow a variety of different foods, to domesticate animals and use those animals for food, or use the products from those animals for nutrition. That's when you develop civilization. That's when people were that civilization means that you have a stable society that is in one place, and that you have a variety of professions in that society. In a hunter-gatherer society, the women and men have very specific roles because everybody is involved with the production of food. The men are hunters for the most part. The women receive the food from the hunters, and the women prepare the food. The women go out and gather the food. They are the ones who look for the plants that are used for nutrition and so on and so forth. So in this higher level of a more multi-layered society, people have many different professions they can have because there is a stable food supply. And so that stable food supply, because having access to this stable food supply, everybody doesn't need to be involved with gathering food. You have farmers who grow the food, and you only need about maybe 10% of the population needs to be a farmer. The rest of the people can be builders. They can be people who learn how to build structures, learn how to make bricks, learn how to quarry stone, and then learn how to build things from the stone. Learn how to human beings learn how to create mathematics, which means that you're learning how to count, because you're dealing with more complexity in life. You're learning how to become engineers. You're learning how to become architects. You're learning to be doctors because you're learning how to fix people's broken bones. You're learning how to treat an infection, how to treat a wound, so on and so forth. And so you have these specialty professions. So you have the professions developing. All of this is because of the image that you see on the picture here, which is the foundation of your civilization, which is your grains, your production of grain. Now, when you look at this image here, all of the grains that you see bread, you see crackers, you see rice, you see different types of pasta and different types of food items which are made from grains. Everything that you're looking at is brown. Everything you're looking at looks very different than if you went to the store today and looked at the food that they feed you or that's available to you. So one of the questions we have to ask is what happened to this original state of food that used to be universally available to us, and why is it that food today is of this denatured and denuded state that it comes into us, right? And so what happened to cause food to move to this state where it is very unnatural, it is very non-nutritious, and so on and so forth. So first of all, let's look at what is a grain. So we when we talk about grain again, uh, rice is a grain, wheat is a grain, barley is grain, um, corn is a grain. A grain has certain basic components. It has three basic components to it. It has a bran. So on the image that you're looking at, you see the illustration of the number one. The bran is the outer layer of the grain. Okay. The bran contains fiber. We need fiber in order to make our bowels move properly. The fiber, the bran contains B vitamins. B vitamins are needed for your nervous system to operate properly. You have different minerals contained in the bran. You have protein, and you have what are called phytochemicals. All of this is contained in the bran. If you look at a white rice, when you look at the products of white flour, the bran has been removed. That's why they're white. The bran has been removed. And so you have a substantial reduction in the fiber, the B vitamins, the minerals, the protein, and other phytochemicals that are supposed to be there that are contained in these foods from the past, which now are called health foods. You have to go to the health food store to find stuff like this. You have to go to the health food section of the grocery store, if they have one, to find foods that look like this. And these foods are often deemed to be have less of a desirable taste because our taste buds have been altered. Our sense of taste has been altered by the way that industrialized food production has manipulated us through various methods and various means of intention, okay? So now let's look at number two on your grain, the endosperm. So that's the largest part of the grain, right? The endosperm contains carbohydrates, proteins, and a small amount of B vitamins. Look at the lower part, number three, the germ. The germ is packed with minerals, B vitamins, vitamin E, and other phytochemicals. But when we go to the Thai restaurant and we get some rice in our, with our meal, we are getting rice that is absent of the bran number 1 and the germ number 3. Okay, so all you're getting is the endosperm, which is number 2. And so this gives you some carbohydrates, what we call starch. It might have a small amount of protein. It may have a little bit of B vitamins left in it, but it is not a fully nutritious grain as it was in the past. Okay? And so we are receiving food, we are being given food, we are eating food, we are buying food which has been denatured. The nutrients have been taken away from it. Okay? And so we know from research that when human beings receive whole grains, when whole grains are restored back into the diet, we see a reduction in heart disease and cancer. We see a 30%, at least a 30% reduction in the risk of heart disease. We see reduced risk of stroke. We see reduced risk of diabetes. We see improvements in health, in the health and the functioning of the bowels, your ability to have good bowel movements because of the increased fiber and bulk that is being introduced into the diet. Okay? So we know from research that eating whole grain foods make a tremendous difference in the state of health. Okay? And not only does it make a difference in the state of physical health, but also in the state of psychological health. There's a correlation between poor nutrition and mental illness. There is a correlation between poor nutrition and alcohol and substance abuse. There's a relationship between poor nutrition and the commitment of crime, or what we might call juvenile delinquency or criminal behavior. There is a connection, or antisocial behavior. Let's just put it like that. So there's a connection between these things and nutrition. I'll give you the example of a study that was done, that was conducted in Wisconsin, in a place called Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Manitowoc, that is a Native American term, right? But up there in Wisconsin, there is a bread company called Manitowoc. And this company produces whole grain bread and other products made from whole grains. And so they funded a school for young people who were supposed to be going into juvenile detention because of they had committed different criminal offenses, or they were young people who were not able to make it in the regular school system because of their behavior and because of their academic performance. So in this particular school, that was created by this bread company, the young people were given basically the same education as any other young people in the system. And the difference between what they received and what the other people in the regular school systems were receiving was that they was given healthy food. They was fed whole grain foods. They was fed fresh fruits and fresh vegetables on a daily basis. And this was a residential program. So they got their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, from here. And in the study, it showed that these young people who had been previously deemed to be antisocial, to be juvenile delinquent and so on and so forth, that they had um, significant improvements in their cognitive skills and in their behaviors that were related to socialization, that their mental health status even improved, their anger, their um, social in various ways. All the things demonstrated a introduction that was only variable that was introduced to them was this significant change in their diet. And so when we think about our young people today who are filling up the filling up the adult penal background that they come from in terms of their nutrition, in terms of their health conditions. These unhealthy conditions, when you have generation after generation after generation of young people growing up on junk food, growing up on processed foods, growing up on foods that have significant reductions in nutrition, in B complex and C, then we see where these problems are coming from. Why there are higher rates of alcoholism, why there are higher rates of drug abuse, why there are higher rates of criminal activity, and you're combining that with the lack of opportunity. So it's almost a two-edged sword. So you're taking people and you're taking the opportunity. You're taking away their education resources. You're taking away their ability to make money, to make a living, taking away their ability to have a proper education. And you also combining that with poor nutrition. And so it should not be a mystery about why we have the outcomes that we have. But in our analysis of social problems, in our analysis, in our psychological analysis of what is the problem, we rarely, if ever, include nutrition and the nutritional factor in understanding what is going on with our young people. Why do we have these problems? Why do we have these issues in our young people, in our adults also? So why do we have higher rates of kidney disease that are related to diabetes, that are related to other type of degenerative diseases? Why do we have all of the different dialysis centers concentrated in our community? Because we have these higher rates of disease and so on and so forth. Our communities exist in food deserts. So, and only do we not have a consciousness of the proper foods that we need. If we had a consciousness of foods, we don't have the opportunity to even get them because the resources, grocery stores, the markets that do not exist in our communities, right? They're far away. Okay. And so, as you already know, I'm just going to do this. You got other nutrients such as protein, which are essential for the growth of the body and proper repair of the body. You need protein for that. Your flesh, your blood, all of this is protein and minerals also like iron. Um, your B complex vitamins, which is thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, pyridoxine, pantothenic acid, and folate. This is important to understand the vitamins because this is the vein of this is at the crux of the issue surrounding maladaptive behavior, surrounding maladaptive behaviors in terms of mental health, in terms of substance abuse, and so on and so forth, right? B complex vitamins, vitamin C. B complex vitamins are not stored by your body, but they are essential to the proper operation of your nervous system. So that you have to get food that contains B complex vitamins on a daily basis. Okay? So I'm going to talk about two things. Number one, the foods that we receive that's available to us do not have the proper amounts of B vitamins. Number two, many of the foods that we receive have substances in them that literally destroy B complex vitamins. Many of the other substances we take, like caffeine, nicotine, sugar, chemical food additives, whether that means preservatives, colors, or taste, which flavors, additives, whatever, artificial, flavors, all of those things destroy B complex vitamins. Okay. And again, B complex, why is it important? Because they help to convert carbohydrates into glucose so that the brain can use it for energy. So essentially, we have people moving throughout our entire society who are chemically imbalanced because of the absence of B complex vitamins, because their brains are not converting carbohydrates into glucose, which gives them energy. And so when your brain doesn't have energy, you become tired, angry, any type of situation that you are confronted with, the magnified because of the fact that your brain, your nervous system is not able to cope properly with that situation because you do not have the inner resource to cope properly. And so again, there's a profound connection between behavior and nutrition, okay? Between the ability to have sufficient coping power and resiliency and your level of nutrition, okay? So some of the other minerals that you need: iron, calcium, zinc, copper, involved in the transport of oxygen throughout the body. Calcium, important for bone health. And also, as important, is nerve health. You have to have calcium for your nerves to be able to function properly. The nerve signal has to pass through a synapse. It means that between each of your nerve endings, there's an opening called a synapse. And within that opening, there is calcium, and calcium helps for the nerve signal to jump over that synapse from one nerve next one. So when you don't have enough calcium, when your reserves of calcium is being drained by the consumption of sugar, by the consumption of chemical food additives, and so on and so forth. nicotine, alcohol, caffeine, all of those things also help to strip your body of calcium. Okay? Zinc. Zinc is needed for the growth of new cells to fight infection. Copper, essential for healthy blood, heart, and bones. Okay? Let me do this. Okay. Everybody have heard of this word antioxidant. Antioxidant nutrients. The vitamin B that we spoke of earlier is a vitamin which is what is called water soluble. That means that it is stored by your body because the amount of vitamin B that you take into your body is utilized. Any excess is released in your urination. So it is not stored by your body because it is water soluble. So remember that term, water soluble. Your antioxidant nutrients, such as your vitamin A, vitamin E, selenium, vitamin D, these are what you call fat soluble vitamins. Okay? They are stored by your body in the fat cells of your body. So the B complex vitamins have to be taken every day into your body. The water soluble vitamins, such as your vitamin A, your E, your D, they do not have to be taken in because they are stored by your body. So vitamins, they protect the cells from damage by harmful substances, including smoke and pollution. Now, how do we know these? How do we know some of these facts? Because you can look at the cells, you can look at cells underneath a microscope, and you can see the behavior and the effects of various substances and nutrients and so on and so forth on how the cells are being affected. Okay? So helping to maintain healthy cells, reduce risk from diseases such as heart disease and cancer. What is heart disease? What is cancer? You can understand all disease from understanding how the cells of the body work. That's what you call cellular biology. The body is made up of what? It's made up of billions of cells. Each cell has its own, it's like its own, it's its own individual entity. Each cell absorbs nutrients, processes those nutrients to create energy, and then eliminates the waste. That's what happens when we eat food overall in our body, but also on a cellular level, each cell is absorbing nutrients, such as which is like eating, processing the nutrients into energy, and then releasing the waste. Okay, and so in order to be healthy, we have to make sure that that process of metabolism is occurring on a cellular level within the body, okay, in a way which is efficient and is healthy in order to maintain our well-being, introducing sugar, introducing processed foods into the body, smoking, drinking alcohol, so on and so forth. All of those things are going to cause a disruption in the cell's ability to maintain itself on a healthy level. And when you have more cells dying, then you have new cells coming to take their place. This is what we call aging. This is what we call deterioration. This is the root of what we call disease, right? So we have to look at the root, on a root level. What is disease? What is disease, or what you can call dis-ease? What is that? What does that mean? It means a destruction of the body on a cellular level. It means a malfunction of the body on a cellular level. When we have cancer, cancer is a malfunction of the cells of the body. The cells begin to mutate and they form what's called a tumor. And that tumor is what is a what causes all the various negative pathologies associated with cancer. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the symptoms of vitamin B complex deficiency. All of these symptoms of B complex vitamin or B vitamin deficiency are identical to the symptoms that people experience from stress. So we have fatigue, irritability, constipation, depression, loss of appetite, inability to concentrate, anxiety, headache, digestive disorders, poor memory, cramps, swollen, sore, red tongue, insomnia, diarrhea, numbness or tingling in the feet, slow healing wounds, cracking in the corner of the mouth, skin problems, abdominal pain, and even suicidal ideation. Okay, or pseudo-suicidal tendency, suicidal ideation. Okay, these same symptoms that that people who are under extreme stress have are identical to the symptoms of B vitamin deficiency. That's why when we bring people into treatment, they say they're going to come into a residential or inpatient treatment for alcoholism or substance abuse. What do they often receive? They receive a shot, an injection of B vitamins, because we know that the lifestyle that these people have been living, that they have not lived life in a way where they was conscious of getting B complex vitamins, because even the average person who is not even in any type of treatment is not living life in a way where they are conscious of receiving the proper B complex vitamins that they need, right? So we often give these people an injection, intravenous injection of B complex vitamins to help to bring their brains back into a state where now they can have treatment. Now they can begin to think, begin to reason, and they can be communicated with, in a therapeutic manner. Okay. So many of the common substances that destroy these vital nutrients, such as B vitamins and vitamin C, I'm going to talk about vitamin C next. Common things that destroy B complex vitamins are your coffee, because of the caffeine. And I'm not, when I say coffee, I'm not saying a person should never drink coffee, but I'm talking about the constant use of coffee, multiple cups of coffee every day, combining that with refined white sugar being placed in the coffee. We see how people use alcohol. They got to have alcohol as soon as they come home. There's a myth that you got to drink this wine, this red wine, because it's supposed to have some type of antioxidant effect. The alcohol does something called intoxication. Okay, you're calling alcohol is a toxin. That's why they call it intoxication when you drink it. Okay, and so the reason why you get intoxicated is because it's a poison, okay? And so it destroys your B complex vitamins. It permeates throughout your entire body, and it affects all the cells throughout your body, okay? Chocolate, and again, I'm not saying do not eat chocolate, but I'm saying that chocolate contains caffeine, just like the coffee, and caffeine in too much of an amount can interfere with your body's ability to absorb and process your B complex vitamins. You have different types of teas, not herbal teas, but commercial tea like Lipton tea, which is made from a particular plant called orange pekoe that the British like. And so the British like that particular plant, which originated in India, but the people in India don't drink it because they say it's toxic. Okay. But your Lipton tea bags and all that stuff, that's tea that is that has a negative effect on your B complex levels. Then you got your chemical food additives. We talked about before. We got your chemical food colors. And then you have cigarettes. A person smoking a cigarette, a person smoking tobacco, is the same as taking your mouth and putting it to the exhaust of a car when the car is running. It's got carbon, what is it, monoxide, whatever one. It's got that carbon monoxide or dioxide. I forget, I always get confused about which one. It's the poison. Um, and many, many different things. I don't have to talk about how bad cigarettes are, but people continue to smoke them. Okay. Foods that are high in B complex vitamins are whole wheat flour and its products, brown rice. You got superfoods such as spirulina, bee pollen, stuff like that, which we're going to talk about. Your different grains like your millet, which grows in abundance in Africa. Your oats, your rye, your barley, your corn. Um, when you eat nuts and seeds, they also contain B complex vitamins, but you want to eat them. You want to eat them in a raw state, in an uncooked state, in order to get the nutrients from them. And then you got your fresh fruits, your fresh vegetables. Okay. Now, vitamin C, along with your B complex vitamins, vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin. It is not stored by your body. So you need to take in foods every single day that are abundant in vitamin C. That's why I talked about my drink that I take every day with my fresh citrus juices, my lemon, lemon, lime, whatever citrus juice you choose, and my ginger and turmeric in it to act as anti-inflammatories, right? And also to give me the vitamin C that's going to help to work in my body. So vitamin C stimulates the body's natural protective mechanisms and improves the functioning of the body in general. It protects against cancer and heart disease and is one of the most fundamental substances in the body. It takes part in the most basic processes essential for life and good health. So, from a chemical perspective, vitamin C is involved in all of your metabolic processes in your body. There is nothing that happens in your body that vitamin C is not involved with. Yet, most people are deficient in vitamin C. Okay. If you go to the grocery store and you buy a bottle of orange juice, there was no vitamin C in there. The vitamin C is destroyed by the time that is taken from the fruit itself, by heat, because they pasteurize the fruit, and so the heat is going to destroy the vitamin C, or they pasteurize the juice. Pasteurization simply means heat. They warm it up to kill the bacteria that may come into it or destroy. They basically heat it up to destroy the life in it, so that bacteria doesn't form. Bacteria should form naturally. That's a natural part of the process. But when you heat something, they call it pasteurization, because that was created by this scientist named Pasteur in order to keep milk from spoiling. But all they do is just heat it up, and they destroy all the enzymes and stuff in it. So then nothing happens, so that it just it doesn't decay and it doesn't break down and it doesn't form disease in it. Okay. So foods that are high in vitamin C are your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your raw cabbage, tomatoes, green peppers, all your citrus fruits such as oranges, grapes, lemons, limes, grapefruit, pineapple, strawberries, kiwi fruit, and many, many more. Okay, so I have this image up here of something called Dr. Smoothie. Do not buy Dr. Smoothie. It's not good for you. I just put this up here for the picture of the smoothie. So one of the ways that I recommend that people easily receive a lot of the nutrients that they need is by making a smoothie. So your smoothie is going to be a drink, which is going to be easy to digest, easy to assimilate, not going to have any caffeine. You're going to get energy from your bee pollen, your spirulina, your nut milk, mushrooms, and so on and so forth, right? And so this is an image of what we call bee pollen. And so bee pollen is literally the pollen from flowers. And we know that the world, we would not be alive if it wasn't for pollen and it wasn't for the bees, because the bees take pollen from one plant to the next in order to inseminate it, in order to cause the plants to reproduce, right? So that we have plants to eat. That's why we need to have bees. And so pollen is the reproductive material of the plant, and the pollen contains all the nutrients. So the pollen contains, bee pollen contains, they call it bee pollen but it's basically the pollen from the plant. The bees just get the pollen, and then the bees turn the pollen into honey and other substances that they use for food within their hive, right? And so the pollen is very nutritious, okay? So the nutritional properties of pollen, of bee pollen, in my estimation, pollen is converted sunlight, which is now digestible. So of course we can get nutrients from the sun, such as vitamin D, but we can't really eat the sun. But we eat food products which are as close as possible to the sun. And so one of those is going to be bee pollen. So it's a reproductive material of plants. The pollen contains 250 active substances. It has antibiotic substances. It has antioxidants. It has all of your B complex vitamins. It has all of the 21 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So your flesh, your blood, your bone, all of that is made of protein. And so 21 of the amino, 21 of it's 21 amino acids that create protein. And all 21 of those amino acids is contained in your bee pollen. Bee pollen is easy to digest and to assimilate. It helps to strengthen blood vessels, and it gives you stamina. So when I start off my day, I try to have my smoothie and I put my bee pollen in there, and then I might go, if I'm gonna go work out at the gym, if I'm gonna go running, if I'm going to go ride my bike, I can be sustained for an extended period of time with this bee pollen. So this is how your bee pollen will look when you go to the store to purchase it. Um, Bee pollen protects your body from chronic disease. It reduces bad cholesterol. So your bad cholesterol, they call it LDL, which means low density lipoprotein. HDL, you're going to get that from your avocados and your olive oil and stuff like that. That's good cholesterol. All cholesterol is not bad. Okay. It protects against heart disease and cancer, protects the liver from toxins. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's antibacterial. It helps your wounds to heal. If you might remember in the movie with Denzel Washington, the whatever that movie was, when he was the Equalizer. There was one scene in the movie that he got wounded and he went and took some honey and poured it on his wound, right? Because honey helps your wounds to heal. You know, honey is a very miraculous type of food. Okay. Pollen has an anti-cancer. It aids in menopause. Um, it it assists in nutrient utilization, and it helps with metabolism and longevity. Okay, so that's why we call pollen or bee pollen a superfood because they had all of these different properties to it. Another one of your superfoods is spirulina. So as you can see from this illustration here, the spirulina is made up, it's very green. It's a deep, deep green color because of its um, very high nutrient content. We as American people, we have been trained to associate the color green with something that tastes bad. And so a lot of times when people see this color, this deep green color, they say, oh, that don't look like it's appetizing. And so we get a subconscious psychological rejection of any food that's green. So yeah, a lot of people say they don't like broccoli, they don't like asparagus, and blah blah blah, right? So spirulina is a blue-green algae. That means that it grows in the water and it's a one-cell plant that interacts with the sun. Okay. The largest animal on the planet Earth is the whale, and the whale eats the whale consumes algae, spirulina, as its primary source of nutrition, even though it is the largest animal on the planet Earth. So spirulina protects you from the byproducts of medicines. So medicines contain many types of substances that are not necessarily good for you. Um, Spirulina is full of vitamins and minerals. Is great for cell regeneration, for your cells really benefit from the consumption of spirulina because it helps the cells reproduce and maintain their health. And the longer your cells are able to be healthy, the longer your individual cells live, the better that individual cells are reproduced and replaced, the more youthfulness, more longevity, the more health, the more wellness that you have. Okay. Spirulina is a great source of protein. It's easily digestible. It's a superfood. It has antifungal characteristics, anti-aging characteristics. It fights cancer, and it's antibacterial. There is nothing wrong nothing that can go wrong if you consume spirulina. Put a teaspoon a day in your smoothie. Okay, spirulina in comparison to other types of foods, it has 14 times more calcium than milk. It has 4 times more potassium than bananas. It has 9 times more iron than spinach. It has 2 times more protein than yogurt. It has 2 times more vitamin A than carrots. It has 4 times more fiber than oats. So again, it's a blue-green algae, one plant animal. So on a one plant, it's a one-cell plant organism. It's extremely high in many nutrients, anti-inflammatory. I think I've said all this stuff already. Now, so again, you're gonna take your spirulina, your bee pollen. You're gonna blend it up in the morning with your fresh orange juice, fresh apple juice, or you can also make nut milk, nut and seed milk. And so your nut milks, your seed milks can be made from almonds, Brazil nuts, cashews, hemp seeds, pumpkin seed, sesame seed, and sunflower seed, and others, right? And so basically, you would take you want to take your nuts and you want to soak them for 24 hours in fresh water. And if you're using seeds, you're going to soak them for about 12 hours and then rinse and then blend them in a high speed blender that's going to have 1/4 nuts or seeds in 3/4 of water. You're going to strain them through a cheesecloth or through a strainer, and you're going to mix with honey, cacao, vanilla flavor. You're going to make your smoothie. And so it's all kind of ways of making a smoothie. You can also add in your bee pollen. You can also add in your spirulina. Okay. So this gives you a basic introduction into nutrition from a stress management perspective. And so what you want to do is be able to fight and be able to not fight in flight, but to stay and play the game, master the game. Okay. So that's all I have for you for today. Any questions, comments?
No questions here.
No questions.
Nope.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to see you all next Sunday then, right? I mean, next Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. Well, have a good one and continue to practice and study your training manual. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You're
Take care.
welcome. Peace.